Ethan Marshall lived in a small, quiet town in California. His house was neat and clean. It was in a neighborhood where families lived close to each other. But Ethan did not talk much to his neighbors. He liked to be alone and work from his house. Ethan worked on his computer. He did important work for a company far away, but he did not have to leave his house. Every day he sat at his desk and worked quietly. He liked his home very much. It was his safe place. One Thursday afternoon, Ethan was working on his computer. Suddenly, the internet became very slow. He could not watch his favorite videos or send emails easily. This made Ethan feel worried. He took out his phone and looked at the Wi-Fi settings. The Wi-Fi is what helps the computer and phone connect to the internet. Ethan saw something strange. There was a device connected to his Wi-Fi that he did not know. The device name was Bayview i07. Ethan was surprised. He only had a few devices at home. His computer, his phone, and his tablet. He did not share his Wi-Fi password with anyone else. So, how did this strange device get on his network? Ethan thought maybe someone was using his internet without asking. That could make his internet slow and might be unsafe. So he decided to fix it. He went outside and stood in his driveway. He opened his phone and kicked out all unknown devices from his Wi-Fi. Then he changed the Wi-Fi password to a new one that only he knew. As Ethan was finishing the change, his neighbor Linda Harris looked out from her kitchen window. Linda lived across the street. She had always thought Ethan was strange because he never joined neighborhood parties or talked to anyone. Seeing Ethan outside looking at his phone made her feel suspicious. Linda watched Ethan closely. She thought maybe he was doing something bad. So, she called 911 and told them she saw suspicious activity at Ethan's house. The police came quickly. 2 officers arrived, Detective Mark Benson and Officer Alyssa Chen. They knocked on Ethan's door and asked him what he was doing. Ethan was calm. He told them he was just changing his Wi-Fi password because a strange device was on his network. He said he wanted to keep his internet and home safe. The police wanted to see Ethan's Wi-Fi settings. They saw the device Bayview i07 was still connected, even after Ethan changed the password. Ethan showed the police the activity logs on his router. The strange device was not just connected. It was also watching Ethan's home security cameras. That meant someone was spying on his house. Ethan then showed the police other strange IP addresses connected to his Wi-Fi. These were spying on other houses too, including Linda's house. Linda was shocked. She did not believe someone was watching her home through cameras. Detective Benson told Ethan that this was serious. It was not just about a slow internet or a quiet neighbor. Someone was breaking the law by spying on people's homes. Ethan wanted to find out who was doing this. He used his computer to trace where the strange device came from. To everyone's surprise, it was coming from a house just a few doors away. The house belonged to Linda's nephew, Brandon Harris. Brandon was 22 years old and went to college. The next day, Detective Mark Benson and Officer Alyssa Chen went to Brandon Harris's house. Brandon was Linda's nephew, and everyone thought he was just a normal college student. When the police knocked on the door, Brandon opened it and looked surprised. "What's this about?" he asked. The officers told him they had found his device spying on neighbors' Wi-Fi and cameras. Brandon looked nervous but said, "I don't know what you mean. I was just using the internet." Detective Benson explained, "We found evidence that someone has been watching private cameras in this neighborhood without permission. This is very serious." Brandon's face turned pale. He finally said, "Okay, I admit it. I hacked into the Wi-Fi networks. I was curious and wanted to see what was happening. I didn't think it was a big deal." Officer Alyssa said, "It is a big deal. You were spying on people's homes. That is illegal and can make people feel unsafe." Brandon looked down. He knew he had done wrong. Detective Benson told Brandon that hacking into someone's computer or camera without permission breaks the law. Brandon could be arrested for this. Back in the neighborhood, the news spread fast. People were shocked to learn that someone they knew was spying on their private homes. Linda was very upset. She had always been protective of her family and neighbors. Now she felt betrayed because her own nephew had done something wrong. Ethan felt relieved that the police were handling the situation. But he also felt worried. How many other neighbors had been watched without knowing? The police called in cybercrime experts to help. These experts studied the data and found that Brandon had hacked into many homes, not just Ethan's and Linda's. Some neighbors had no idea their cameras were being watched. The experts helped the community secure their Wi-Fi networks. They taught people how to protect their internet and cameras better. Ethan became a hero in the neighborhood because his careful action helped catch the spy. People started talking to him more, realizing he was not strange but someone who cared about safety. Linda apologized to Ethan for doubting him before. She thanked him for helping find the truth. Brandon was taken to court. He promised to learn from his mistake and never hack again. The neighborhood slowly felt safe again. People changed their passwords and watched their cameras closely. They also learned to trust their neighbors more. Ethan continued his quiet life but was now more connected with the people around him. After Brandon was taken by the police, the neighborhood felt very quiet and strange. People had been shocked to find out that someone they knew, someone from their own homes, was spying on them. It made everyone feel scared and not safe. Ethan, who had always kept to himself, found himself becoming a little more involved. The neighbors started to come together because they wanted to feel safe again. They had meetings at the local community center to talk about what happened and what they could do to protect themselves. Linda, who had been suspicious of Ethan before, now saw him in a new light. She realized that Ethan's quiet ways were because he cared about his privacy and safety. She even said sorry to Ethan for thinking badly about him. Ethan smiled and said it was okay. Sometimes people don't understand others until something happens. The police also helped the neighborhood. They gave lessons on how to keep Wi-Fi safe. They taught everyone to use strong passwords and to check who was connected to their internet. The community learned about keeping their home cameras and devices safe from strangers. Brandon stayed in trouble for a while. He had to go to court and explain what he did. He said he didn't mean to hurt anyone. He was just curious and thought it was fun. But the judge told him that breaking into other people's privacy was very wrong and that he had to learn a lesson. The neighborhood slowly began to feel peaceful again. The neighbors started to say hello to each other when they met outside. They even planned small parties and gatherings to build trust and friendship. Ethan joined one of these gatherings. It was the first time in many years that he talked and laughed with his neighbors. Ethan also fixed his Wi-Fi system to be stronger and safer. He bought new security devices and made sure only his family and close friends could use his network. He felt happy knowing he helped stop the spying and helped the neighborhood come together. One sunny afternoon, Ethan was sitting outside on his porch, drinking lemonade. Linda walked by and waved. Ethan waved back and smiled. They were no longer just neighbors, they had become friends. The lesson the neighborhood learned was important. Even when people seem quiet or different, they can be kind and helpful. And when a community works together, it can overcome anything, even problems that seem scary at first.